Okay, we're going to do some graphing review. This should be completely familiar to you. If you have an equation in the form y equals m times x plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept, you should be quite familiar with graphing it. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, so that's where you start. All right, so we're going to start at 4 on the y-axis. I don't like rise over run very much. I'd rather you just thought vertical change over horizontal change, because rising indicates going up, right? You don't always go up first. All right, so this -2, we're not going up. And -2 over 1 is going to mean down 2 from the starting point and right 1. So down 2, right 1. Keep doing that. I don't want any stubby lines. Fill the graph. Reverse of down 2 right 1's, up 2 left 1, and then draw me a line. Try to hit the points. I try. And they go on forever, so they should have arrows. Well, that's number 1. Number 2, y equals 3/4 x minus 3. The starting point is -3 on the y-axis. The slope is 3/4, which would be up 3, right 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. From there, you can't do it again, so we'll go and see if we can go in reverse. Opposite of up 3, right 4 would be down 3, left 4. Now, there we go. That's all the points we can fit. Graph your line. Number 3. This one's not in the form y equals mx plus b. So we're going to solve for y. You would subtract x. You got -2 times y is equal to -x minus 4. I'm writing it in the form where x would be before the y-intercept. Second step, divide by -2. And if you divide one term by -2, you have to divide each term by -2. Simplify, y equals, this is -1x divided by -2. Simplify that. You should never leave a negative over a negative. That would be positive 1/2 x. And plus 2. So the starting point is 2 on the y-axis, and the slope is up 1, right 2. The reverse of up 1, right 2, going back to my y-intercept, would be down 1, left 2. Good luck. Okay. Number 4. Solving for y on this one, we would subtract x. We'd have 2y equals -2x. We would divide by 2, and y would equal -x. No, did I do that? I don't know what I just did. I was just thinking to myself, going, how did you get -2x? It was just -x, right? Excuse me, I don't know what happened. I was just a little distracted. Then I have to divide by 2. So we'll think of that slope, -1/2. Now, if there's no y-intercept, it is 0, which means you start at the origin. The slope is -1/2, so you go down 1, right 2. Or the reverse of that, going back to the origin, up 1, left 2. And I'm hoping you're finding this super easy and that you're remembering all this from Algebra 1 even, and you did some in geometry. Good? Okay, number 5. This says to do the x-intercept of 1. That would be the point 1, 0. I want you to know how you write an x-intercept as a point. The y-intercept is 0, 4. You wouldn't be required to write, when I ask you for an x-intercept or a y-intercept in the future, you're going to write down the point. I need to know that you know how to write it correctly. Well, anyway, we go find those. 1, 0 would be here. 0, 4 is on the y-axis there. You could figure out the slope between them, which would be down 4, right 1, and then you could do it again. Down 4, right 1, down 4, right 1 gives you one more point on the graph. And draw your line. Okay. Number 6 is another one like that. The x-intercept 4, 0. The y-intercept 0, 5. 4, 0 is right 4, stay there. 0, 5 is up 5 from the origin. Looks like that's down 5, right 4. Can't really do that again, so we just draw the line. But you could figure out the slope by going from the most left point to the right point. Now I added on to this some problems on the back because you're going to be responsible to know what number 7 would be. Does anybody remember what kind of line x equals -2 is? What kind? Vertical. All right, good job. Yep, it is vertical. I've got to get my name charts out so I can everybody. So that is a vertical line. And that vertical line will go straight down through -2 on the x-axis. All right, so I'm just making a little sketch of it. You've got a graph. I just didn't make a picture of this. So this would be the line. And for number 8, it's y equals 2, which would not be vertical. It would be horizontal. Has to hit the y-axis at 2. Okay, now, what in any way to remember that, if you were to make up some points that would be on the line where it says x is -2, -2, 2, -2, anything, those are all points that would be on it, just to help you remember that that would be a vertical line. And this saying y is 2, to know what kind of line that was, if you forget, say, well, that means y is always 2, so the only way to hit it is if we put it through here, but you could think, all right, well, no matter what x is, y is going to be 2. No matter what x is, y is going to be 2. And then you could think about it and plot, and that might help you remember what kind it is. All right, which line has no slope? Okay, so think about skiing. Can you ski on this? Snow ski? What's going to happen if you try to go on there? You're just going to slide right off. Okay, there's no slope here. That's why. All right, that's how you can remember it. No slope. And then this one, yes, you can. It would be called boring skiing because it would be kind of walking. Right, so this would be this one that has a slope of 0. So in your, like on your paper, which one has a slope? No slope. That would be x equals -2. And the one that has a slope of 0 would be an equation that says y equals 2. Typically, they're in the form x equals a, that's your vertical line, and y equals b, that is a horizontal line. And that one has no slope, if you want to make a note, and this one has a slope of 0. All right, other examples, I thought I'd just throw out some more little examples of type of questions that could be on your quiz. I could have you say, do something like evaluate. When x is -2 and y is -3. I'm just making up something, all right? So if I asked you to evaluate something and you had a problem, for example, x squared minus 4x plus y. Okay, so say I'm just making something up, and you had to substitute in. I want you to be careful about plugging in a negative, and that's probably why I made these negative, because if you put -2 in for x squared, minus 4 times -2 plus -3, and then you need to simplify this, -2 squared is what? +4 or -4. Well, a lot of kids type it on their calculator, and they get it wrong because they don't put parentheses. If you type -2 squared, your calculator is going to give you a -4 for that value. So don't assume it's easy to just type it in. If you do type it in, it must go have parentheses around it. So it's actually better to evaluate it with your head. -2 times -2 is +4. -4 times -2 would be +8. And then we'd have plus -3. That'd be 12 plus -3, and you'd get 9. Another problem might have, I don't know, I'm just going to say x, say minus y over 2. And then I'm going to expect you to pop those in and evaluate. So that'd be -2 minus -3 divided by 2. That's -2. That's y, not a 4. Sorry. I meant that to be a y, and it didn't look like one. Negative 2 plus 3 divided by 2. So if it comes out to be a fraction, I expect it to be simplified down to 1/2. If it was reducible, comes out to a fraction that's reducible, you need to reduce. On order of operations, I'll make up an example. Say it was, excuse me, for that. Oh, let's think. Negative 2 minus 5 times 6 plus 8 divided by 4, and you had to do the order of squared. Ooh. What's order of operations tell us to do first? Remember, it's PEMDAS. And you want to do parentheses. There's no parentheses, so if there are, you want to do that first. Next, exponents. So, and then when you go from, you do multiplication and division, it needs to be left to right, and add and subtract left to right. So I just made something up. This can come out pretty gross. I don't know yet. Okay. So negative 2, let's see, minus 5. See, before you subtract, what do you have to do? So I'm going to go ahead and multiply because I can also do this exponent and division. So I'll go ahead and do 5 times 6. Give me 30. Plus, and then I got 8 divided by 16. Well, what's the next one we'd have to do? I went ahead and did the multiplication. I'd have to do division next. Okay, so that would be negative 2 minus 30 plus 8 divided by 16 is going to be 1/2 or 0.5. And then you would do your subtraction and addition left to right. So first you want to do negative 2 minus 30. That'd be negative 32 plus 1/2. And then finally you'd do negative 31.5. Okay? Or negative 31.5. Again, I just made that up. Make sure you just remember to do your order of operations. That's probably enough. If you don't have worksheet 12B, I know at the bottom of this this paper, it says do worksheet 12B. I do have those packets run off. It's got more graphing lines. That's all it was. So we can do it later. We don't have to do it now. Tomorrow we will have our quiz. So let's go visit worksheet 6B, please. I'll pause while you guys get that out. Well, these are some examples of things to expect on tomorrow's quiz. For number 1, you could multiply through by the LCD 4, or you could just go ahead and start off by subtracting 8. I would probably do that for this particular problem. 3/4 times x is equal to 6. And then I would multiply by 4. I just think kids see this easier instead of multiplying by the reciprocal. Multiply by the 4 because it's a divider. You get 3 times x equals 24, and then finally divide by 3. If you do multiply by the reciprocal and you multiply by 4 and divide by 3 at the same time, that's totally fine. So x would be 8. On number 2, we must distribute on both sides, giving us 5 times x minus 35 is equal to negative 24 plus 3x. Need to get our like terms on one side, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides, and I'm not going to write all those little details. Okay, and then I'm going to add 35. And that would be 11, right? Negative 24 plus 35 would be 11. All right, divide by 2, 11 halves. And just leave it 11 halves. Number 3, you've got 2 fractions set equal, so you can do cross products. So if I cross multiply, I'll be doing 8 times the quantity x plus 3 is equal to 3 times the quantity 2x minus 4. So I distribute, get 8x plus 24, and it equals 6x minus 12. I would subtract 6x from both sides. 2x plus 24 is equal to negative 12. I would subtract 24 from both sides and get negative 36. And then divide by 2. Negative 18. Am I going too fast for anyone? No. You probably hopefully already did this and you're just checking your work, because then you'll feel really good that you got them right. Okay. Next one, we need to multiply through by the LCD, which would be the product of 7 and 3, which is 21. So I'm multiplying each piece of the equation by 21. That's a weird looking 21. Sorry. Sometimes I write my 2's one way, sometimes I write them a different way. I don't know why. But here we go. Cancel out 7 into 21, goes 3 times. I'll be doing 3 times 2r minus 3 then. Plus 7 goes into 21 3 times. 3 times 3. And 3 goes into 21 7 times. 7 times negative r would be negative 7r. I would distribute 6r minus 9 plus 9 equals negative 7 times r. I know I went over this one probably in class, I think yesterday, but I want to have this recorded. So 6r equals negative 7r, and then people said, well, they thought maybe it was no solution or this makes no sense, but what we need to do is add 7r to both sides. It gives us 13r equals 0. Then you would divide by 13, and the actual solution is 0. Number 5, the LCD would be 4. We would multiply each piece of this problem by 4. The easy mistake here, and I did it earlier today, was forget that both of these have an x on them. All right, so 4 goes into 4 evenly, so that's 3x. Plus 2 goes into 4 evenly twice. 2 times 5 is 10, and don't forget the x, 10x. And 4 times 13 is 40 plus 12, which is 52. 3x plus 10x is 13x. Dividing both sides by 13 gives us x is 4. Okay. Number 6 says isolate the equation for the indicated variable. We want to solve for L. 2 times L has 2w added on. So I'm going to get rid of 2w by subtraction. So that will give me P minus 2 times w equals 2 times L. Well, I need to get rid of the 2, so I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Your answer can be P minus 2 times w over 2 equals L, or you could do P over 2 equals, not equals, P over 2 minus W equals L. Either one of those will be acceptable. Do you see how I got this one from this one? I separated P over 2 and then minus 2W over 2. They both have that denominator, and just simplified. Also, if somebody had chosen to factor out the 2 in the beginning, they could have solved it and gotten this pretty quickly, this answer. All right, solving for C on this one, we're going to need to subtract 32 from both sides. This is the formula Fahrenheit equals Celsius. If you know Celsius, you plug in your Celsius to get Fahrenheit. We're going to solve this for Celsius now. So we're going to have, I don't know, I forgot to write F minus 32. So I've got F minus 32 is equal to 9/5 C. What a weird 9. Okay, and then you can just multiply by the reciprocal or multiply by 5, then divide by 9, which would give you 5/9 times F minus 32 equals Celsius. So if you wanted to know what the temp is in Celsius today, I don't know what the temp is outright now, but plug in that number and subtract 32, multiply by 5, and divide by 9. Number 8, solve for H. Now, remember what I told you? That was one starred in our notes. If a term you're solving for is in two different parts of the equation that are addition or subtraction between them, you need to factor. Okay, so we've got to unmultiply or factor, undistribute by h. 2h divided by h would be 2, plus rh divided by h would be r. Now that I have a product, we can divide by whatever piece we don't want. We don't want the 2 plus r because we want h alone. So we're dividing both sides by 2 plus r. So h is equal to s divided by 2 plus r, or you could have it r plus s. I don't really care. All right, number 9. A county fair charges $6 entrance fee and $2 per ride. Write an equation that describes the relation between rides, R, and cost C in dollars for a single customer. All right, so if it's per ride, you got a rate there. So you let R equal number of rides. It already said number of rides R and cost C in dollars, so C is going to equal. You got to pay $6 to get in. Plus you have to pay $2 per ride, so 2R. Right, and that could be reversed as well, 2R plus 6. Number 10, in the formula for simple interest, it is the formula for simple interest is I equals principal times rate times time, PRT. In 1 year, you earn $19.25 in interest, that would be your I. And it has an interest rate, that would be your R, and is a decimal, 3.5% is 0.035. How much money did you originally deposit in your account, which would be P? You want to know P. So oftentimes we would take that interest formula, and here's a reason to solve for P. You would divide by R and T. Okay, so if we know the interest and we know the rate, what's the time? It says original deposit into your account at the beginning of the year. So how much money did you deposit after how long? You're only doing it for 1 year. So T was 1. And now to calculate P, it's going to be 1925 divided by 0.035 times 1. Which is just 0.035. You with me? You didn't have to solve it with for P to do the problem. Had you not done that, you would have started out with 1925 equals P times 0.035 times 1. I guess I'd put that in parentheses. And then you'd see you'd have to divide anyway to finish solving it. So you still have to calculate that. And I think that's 550. Now, I didn't know that in my head. I just have already done it. Okay. Okay. We started with $550. All right, that is the end of the quiz preview, and it's time. I'll take any questions on any homework or anything for the rest of the period, but this is all I'm going to record. Good luck on the quiz tomorrow. Timer, time out.